Alexa here from VeggieHomestead.com, where I write about healthy living, homesteading, farm-to-table recipes every single week. And today I am making lasagna. What I love about this recipe is it's my go-to for dinner parties, whenever someone asks me to bring food for a potluck. This lasagna is so good. In this recipe, we're going to use ground beef, ground pork, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, cottage cheese, parsley, eggs. I'm gonna throw in some zucchini, lots of tomato, salt, pepper, and herbs. So this is a very healthy and delicious recipe. The cottage cheese adds a really nice source of healthy protein. The zucchini adds some vegetables, and if you don't know, if you consume a lot of protein, it's really helpful to have a vegetable on the side, because if you don't know, sometimes consuming too much protein or carbohydrates at once can really spike your blood sugar. So having something like a vegetable with it can slow the absorption of protein or carbohydrate into the bloodstream and create a really nice balanced meal that'll have you feeling really good after you eat it. So I love making my recipes with protein, carbohydrates, fat, and vegetables. So let's get started. So we're gonna start by bringing a large bowl of water to a boil. This is for your lasagna noodles. Now you can buy lasagna noodles that are pre-cooked and don't require boiling. I wouldn't recommend that. I think that they're better when you cook them from scratch. So we're gonna do it the boiling method. Now, one difficult part about doing this that I have run into is you don't want your lasagna noodles to stick together. So one trick that my mother-in-law taught me is to add some oil to your pot while the water is boiling. So I just filled this big pot up with water and I'm gonna turn it on at a nice high heat so we can get a boil. You can do this at the beginning of your process because once your lasagna noodles are cooked, you're just gonna leave them sitting out. So you can do this anytime. And don't forget to add a little bit of oil. This will just prevent the noodles from sticking at the end. Okay, next you're gonna take a Dutch oven or a similar pan. You're gonna cook the ground beef and the ground pork. So you want about ½ pound of each. I think I have a little more than that here, but that's okay. Give that a good stir. Turn it up to a medium-high temperature. For my electric stove, I have it at a 6. And I might turn it down to a 4 once it gets really hot. So you're just gonna let that cook. So meanwhile, we're gonna prepare some more ingredients, and then you're gonna wanna preheat your oven to 375 degrees. So I'm also gonna add my zucchini to the meat mixture. So I just chopped up one zucchini, and alternatively, you could roast the zucchini in the oven. You could use leftover veggies. So if you made mushrooms or zucchini or something, or asparagus even, earlier in the week and you have leftovers, you can throw it in with the meat. So I just chopped up the zucchini into really small pieces, and I'm gonna add it to the meat mixture. You don't need any olive oil because the fat from the meat will cook it really well. Okay, so now we're gonna start our wet mixture. So ultimately we'll have a meat mix, and then we'll have the cheese and the wet mixture, and we'll layer them on top of each other with the noodles, and that will be our lasagna. So for this, like I said, we're gonna use cottage cheese. So you want about 1 pound, which is 16 ounces. So I'm gonna use this whole thing. I love the Nancy's brand. It's probiotic cottage cheese. And you're gonna add 3 eggs. You're also gonna add about 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Freshly grated is always best. I learned that when you buy pre-shredded cheese or pre-grated, they coat the cheese with a chemical to keep it from sticking and to preserve it, which makes sense. But I like to buy fresh cheese and grate it myself. It's better that way. So a little under a cup. Oh, I have plenty here. Maybe I'll do a full cup. And then I'm gonna save some of the larger chunks for the end, and I can drizzle it over the top. Okay. Then you're gonna wanna add about a tablespoon of freshly chopped parsley. At the store, you can find different kinds of parsley. I like the Italian parsley. So good. And so just kind of eyeball like a nice chop. Cut that into small pieces. It is really important that you have fresh parsley, but if you don't, dried parsley will do. Sometimes sometimes you just don't have all the ingredients, you know? What are you gonna do? Okay. So I said about a tablespoon. I think that's about a tablespoon. Okay. And then about 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm using pink Himalayan sea salt. It's the best. And pepper. Okay, you're gonna give all of that a really nice stir. I love these farm fresh eggs. They're so dark orange. It's wintertime and our chickens are not laying right now, unfortunately, so these are from our local farm stand. Then you can go ahead and let this sit. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to preserve this leftover parsley and Parmesan cheese because we're gonna wanna top the lasagna with it at the end. And 1 clove of garlic. Now I'm using a really large garlic because this is farm fresh. But if you don't have this, you can grab a couple cloves of garlic. From us, we love garlic. So we can never have enough. Crush that up. Okay, you're gonna chop up half an onion. Okay, so you're gonna add your onion and your garlic to the beef and pork. 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes and 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Also gonna add some onion powder, about a tablespoon of freshly chopped parsley, a teaspoon of dried basil, and a teaspoon of dried oregano. I'm also gonna add just a pinch of sugar, white sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. And give it a good stir, and you're gonna just simmer this over medium heat, so I have it about 4 for about 30 minutes. And then once your water's boiling in your large pot, you're gonna add your lasagna noodles to cook. You're gonna end up needing about 12 noodles, but I'm gonna make a few more just in case we have any that break. And I salted this water, and again, I added the oil. That's really important. Make sure you do that. Okay, so our noodles are done, so we're gonna drain the water out. Carefully pour them so you don't break them. And then working really carefully because these are so hot, you wanna take them out one by one and place them on a plate so that they can cool. And you wanna do this, otherwise they will harden and form in the shape that they're in. It's okay if some of them are a little bit broken. They're all gonna get cooked together anyway. Just wanna lay them flat. So to get the most perfect noodles, you wanna cook them for not very long. So al dente is better because you're gonna end up putting this in the oven anyway. I had a little bit of a problem. I think I cooked them a few minutes too long, but it's okay. If they're broken, they'll still work. But to prevent too much of breakage, you can cook them pretty al dente, so just a few minutes. But this will be perfect for us. Okay, meanwhile, you're going to shred about 2 cups of freshly shredded mozzarella cheese. Okay, so this is the really fun part. We're gonna assemble our lasagna. I'm gonna get a 9 by 13 inch baking pan. I'm gonna drizzle it with some coconut oil so that the lasagna doesn't stick and it's easy to get out. And you're gonna do a layer of lasagna, 3 pieces of lasagna, and 2 layers of it. So 1, 2, 3, and another layer. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to do half of your cottage cheese mixture, half your mozzarella cheese, and half your meat mixture. Okay, so you're halfway done. Now we're gonna repeat the process, starting with the noodles. Okay, our lasagna is ready to go in the oven. I'm just gonna top it with some fresh parsley and Parmesan cheese that we had saved from earlier. You're gonna wanna cover this with aluminum foil and bake at 375 in a preheated oven at 375 for about 30 minutes with the foil on, and then we'll do another 10 minutes with the foil off. Okay, our lasagna is done cooking and we're gonna take it out and see how it looks. It's bubbling and just a little crispy on the top, so it's perfect. So you're just gonna cut it into squares, however you wanna serve it, and make sure you let it sit before you do this so it can really set. Well, there you have it. That's homemade lasagna with cottage cheese, zucchini, beef, pork, so many other good flavors. I hope you love it as much as we do. If you're new to my page, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and like on Facebook. Every week I post a new farm-to-table recipe, homesteading, and healthy living from our homestead here in Duval. Thank you so much for stopping by our homestead, and I'll see you next week.